T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kush's Corner here on the Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world. Tonight, I'm joined by Lynn Strange of Coastal Morelia to talk about a lot of things: green tree pythons, Amazon Basin emeralds, and of course, scrub pythons. We're going to get into a lot of cool topics tonight, but of course, as always, before we do that, USARK. So USARK is the organization that is fighting for our rights to keep our reptiles, to run our reptile businesses, to live this lifestyle. Check out usark.org for all of the information you need to know about the organization. usark.org is also where you can find updates on new legislation introduced at either local or national levels, as well as updates on the progress of any pieces of legislation. usark.org is also where you can become a member of the organization. As a community, we have strength in numbers, and the more people that are behind the cause, the better. And here we are. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, either live or after the fact. Kind of a quick turnaround from Daytona weekend, or week, really, being out there from Tuesday through the weekend. That was the most fun I've had in a long time. So shout out to anybody who, crossed paths with over the weekend, Carly included. And definitely going to try to make this a more regular thing. It had been 5 years since I had been to Daytona, and I every single year, that's what I was saying, every single year from 2020 until this year, I had made plans to go and found some reason to cancel it for one reason or another. And this year, it was one of my main goals was to be able to get to Daytona, do a little bit of a trip around it, and it did not disappoint whatsoever. So anyway, kind of a little diversion. But like I was saying, if you are here on YouTube, thank you. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe here on YouTube. A new podcast drops every single day of the week from some of the best hosts in the game, talking about a wide variety of topics from within the reptile industry. We are also on the audio streaming platforms as well, be that Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast from, you can find at the Trap Talk Reptile Network. A follow, a 5-star review would be most appreciated on those platforms. And drop a comment on any episode you feel like as well over on the audio platforms as well. With that housekeeping out of the way, let's bring Carly on to the show. How's it going, Carly? Thank you for being here with me.
Hey, Steven.
Long time no see.
Yeah, long time. It's been a long time.
Been about 72 hours.
That's it.
And, I thank you again for taking the time for the quick turnaround after the show. I know that's, it's always the struggle of getting everything ready to go to leave and then getting everything caught up when you get back. And I'm still in the throes of that myself right now.
Oh, yeah. At least you didn't have to have vending supplies. So I vended. So all of that having to be put back and finally remembering to wash tablecloths. So that all that takes a lot too. Yeah,
100%. I mean, how was the show? I feel like I heard different things from different vendors. As a show goer, not a vendor, it was awesome. But I'm not sure, the two don't always line up.
I mean, every year, which I don't take animals, typically speaking. But so every year we kind of sit down and we're like, yeah, that wasn't worth it. We're not going to do it again next year. And then when we sit down and look at everything, we're like, okay, but it still was. So it's not great. It's definitely not what it has been. It's kind of so, but we got to see friends. We got to see people. We got to enjoy some time out. I got several nights of uninterrupted sleep, which is rare with the new baby right now. Yeah. So that goes a long way.
Yeah, I could only imagine. Yeah, I don't have that concern yet, but I could imagine that being one of the nicest aspects of the reptile show weekend.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, Daytona is a weird one for me. I'm not sure if I'll ever vend that show unless I have like a super heavy colubrid year or something, because most of what I keep and breed is illegal in Florida. So I don't know. I don't think there'd be a whole lot of purpose for me making the trek out there to do that show. But
No, and I get it. And I think that the Daytona show, it used to have a lot more traction. Like I remember when I was when I would just go to the Daytona show, I remember standing in line and it was like wrapped outside. I remember being miserable in the heat. And it doesn't seem like it's been a lot of the same traction here
sure.
recently. I think that it's probably Daytona's due to kind of maybe change hands a little bit.
Yeah.
And that would help a lot. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I feel like reptile shows are at a weird place where like legacy shows that have relied on word of mouth for so long have kind of reached the point where that's not cutting it anymore, but they seem not to be willing to change their business model. Like, I mean, I think there's a reason why Bob Vu's show is doing so well in Atlanta is because, for one, you have somebody who's as like visible to the industry as Bob promoting the show, and so many other big names are like very much promoting it, advertising it, and it's getting a lot of reach. I haven't been to one of the shows yet, but
I haven't either.
It's like right in your backyard.
I know, and I literally I drive up there to get my cages and stuff like that. So I don't know why we don't just go. I just haven't ever looked into it. I don't honestly know when it is.
I can't say I do either, which I probably should, because I think that they're a sponsor. But I think Bob said that the next one's coming up in January, so I think that would be cool. But for me, like it'd be hopefully it's not conflicting with Pomona, because I'll definitely be at Pomona. But either way, so I don't know. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see how reptile shows evolve over the next like 10 years or so. Now that I feel like we had the last weekend. Okay, so that probably would be at least 2 weeks away from Pomona.
Is Atlanta closer to you, or is Pomona closer to you?
Pomona by a lot.
Really?
Double. Yeah, for sure. I think Atlanta is a 24-hour or 22-hour drive from me, and Pomona is 12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm hardly in Texas. Like Houston is further than San Diego.
Okay.
If that puts it in any sort of real perspective.
It puts it into like maybe this much perspective. I'm going to be honest. Geography is not
So like,
my strong suit.
Imagine Texas, and
you're on like this side of Texas.
Yeah, like that's where I'm at, and then that's Houston over here.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, to put in perspective, I'm 20 minutes from Mexico and 30 minutes from New Mexico.
Okay,
so
that makes more sense.
Yep, that's where I'm at. But anyway, so I guess before we get into any sort of heavier topics about your collection and breeding and whatnot, kind of give us a little bit of a your background in reptiles, kind of what brought you to the point where you are today.
Yeah, so I mean, I was very much into reptiles, into really anything that walked, talked, slithered, swam, anything when I was younger. I was constantly bringing stuff home. I can't tell you how many corn snakes I probably brought home that my mom just was at the time really not a fan of snakes. So I was always having something. So I was always kind of into that kind of stuff. So like when I moved into academia and started going for my bachelor's degrees and stuff like that, I knew I was doing something biology related. I just didn't know if I was going to do exactly what I was going to do. And I kind of decided that I did not want to do reptiles as a job, as a permanent work thing. Because I've done things before, but it never fails that like when you're doing something every single day and you have to do it even when you don't want to do it, it starts to become more of a chore and not so much an enjoyment.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving to South Carolina from Arkansas to do marine biology, which I still I finished my master's degree recently for marine biology, and I just finished turning in my publication, my latest publication for that. So I'm still very much in it. I'm still very much enjoying it, but I've kind of taken a step back right now since I do have two very young kids. Where working for the government and DNR down here in South Carolina isn't really conducive with small children. Sure. So I'm just kind of now focusing on the snakes, which is nice because it's kind of come almost full circle. I was doing the reptiles when I was a lot younger, and then when I was unable, dorms and that kind of stuff, when I was unable to own reptiles and stuff, I obviously didn't worry with that. I was not going to be the person who got kicked out of a dorm for having a reptile. Sure. So I finally got back into kind of owning reptiles and keeping reptiles back in 2017. Okay. And I kind of went back and forth deciding what I wanted, like what exactly it was that I wanted to keep before I settled on the green trees in 2019. Okay. So, and I've enjoyed those a lot, and just recently started branching out a little bit more to keep something more than just the green trees. Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to ask you about some of the marine biology stuff, because I feel like, that's just, I have nothing to do with that aspect of biology, but obviously if you're not fascinated by marine biology, I don't know how to help you. So I mean, like, what are some adventures that has taken you on? I feel like that's like so many kids. I feel like when you're a kid, there's like a few generic what do you want to do when you grow up answers. There's like professional athlete, most boys, or like now probably influencer is a big one, but like that's not good, but it just is what it is. But I think one of the main ones was like marine biologist. Like, I want to go study dolphins and sharks and stuff like that. So like, I think, everyone kind of thinks about that, but it's like, all right, that doesn't really seem realistic, or, they get discouraged by whoever. So I guess what is really life as of a marine biologist really like? It's not as fancy as everyone makes it out to be. And sure, you just said what everybody else does when everyone is like, when I tell people, oh, I went to school for marine biology, like I got a bachelor's and a master's in marine biology. They're like, oh my gosh, I love dolphins and I love and sharks. And the reality of it is I work with larval fish. Yeah. So like, that's what I do. I work with baby fish, everyone. And I say that and they're like, oh, okay. With marine biology, it's kind of one of those things, like the larger the study, whatever you're studying, whatever you're working with. So like turtles, excuse me, turtles, or like sharks or something like that, the smaller amount of funding versus the smaller thing that you work with, the larger amount of funding. And that's the biggest thing is you have funding, because without funding, you don't do anything. Right. So it has definitely taken me plenty of fun places. Most of it has been kind of like school based. So whether I was, working as a teaching assistant for a lab that went to Belize or something like that, I did a lot of diving. So up until recently, when I had my first son, I was diagnosed with a brain aneurysm, and I actually had surgery to put a stent in. And after that, they didn't say no to diving, but they did say that they probably would not do that anymore, because it does put a lot of pressure on things. So, but before that, I was really involved. There were several years that I lived part-time in Honduras, and I was down there working at the dive shop, and I was also working at the whale shark research center down there as well, which does do a lot of tourism stuff, but it did a lot of outreach as well. Okay. So that was super fun. Unfortunately, like I said, that era is kind of coming to an end. But I do still get, I go out on a lot of like it's basically called a harbor cruise, and it's just, going out and sampling in the Charleston Harbor here. But again, it's looking for the little bitty things that people are not super interested in, but it's definitely still fun. I know a lot of people who do work with sharks and a lot of people who do work with sea turtles and stuff like that. So I kind of go out sometimes and help them and kind of see what they're doing.
I love how you're like, people say things like, oh, the dolphins and whatnot. You're like, no, it's I'm doing like larval fish, and then you're like,
it's baby fish
and the whale shark research center. It's like, that's what everyone thinks about. That shit right there. So you did do that. Don't act like you didn't. Yeah, I mean, for me as someone who's never traveled to Central or South America, like that seems like obviously something that would be amazing to do, but also kind of daunting at the same time. Just kind of the, cultural differences, but then also depending on where you go, the view of foreigners. And I know from talking to you that you do speak Spanish, but for me, someone who doesn't speak Spanish, like that seems like another barrier. What was it like to adjust to being a tourist slash researcher in some Central South American countries?
So everywhere that I pretty much went was usually a big, like they have a lot of people coming in. So like the island that I was in Honduras, it's called an island. It's called Utila. If you know where Honduras is.
Yeah. Do you see the spiny tail iguanas there?
Yeah, actually.
Those are critically endangered.
Yeah. I mean, it's an itty bitty island and like, there's not really vehicles there.
Okay.
Like there's like one main road and they drive these little like mopeds with backs on them.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So, but that island has a ton of dive shops. It attracts a ton of tourists. So most of the people who live there year round, they're from all over the place. I mean, I was there with people from Canada, Germany. I mean, you name it. And that was where it was. Honestly, that wasn't so much of an issue. It was I ran into issues so like, for instance, you can only get a work visa for so long.
Okay.
In Honduras before you basically just have to leave the country, it doesn't take very much to leave the country.
Yeah.
For 72 hours. So, and that is when we would, kind of travel to anywhere we could get that was like close enough to travel to, we would go. And that is when I would run into issues. People there, like I do speak Spanish and it's not the greatest. My spoken Spanish is not the greatest. My listening Spanish is better. But even then you get a lot of slang just like you do in the US.
Sure.
So you have to kind of ask people, hey, I'm so sorry. Can you slow down? And that's where people get irritated.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. Where were some of the places that you would pop out to for those 72-hour periods?
Oh, we went to Belize. We went all the way up and sometimes into Mexico, Guatemala. I mean, anywhere that you could get by their I call them little puddle jumpers. So like the little planes or ferry. And you had to take one of those off of the island anyway. So anything that was close enough that we could get to, we would go. And even sometimes there was one time that we took, somebody had, they rented basically like just like a little sailboat. And we just kind of went far enough to be considered outside of Honduran waters and then just came back in. So it's not super, super strict.
Sure. Okay. And would you guys take advantage of any of those times to do work elsewhere, or is it just kind of like we got to do this because of this technicality and we'll get back to what we're doing in Honduras?
Yeah, I mean, that was a different era. There was usually a lot of drinking.
Okay.
It's basically like a vacation.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's basically what it was, because when I was in Honduras, this was, yes, it was fun, but it was also wake up, and you've got to wake up, 5:30 to be down at the docks because you're responsible for loading the tanks, the equipment, getting the boat ready, make sure all that stuff's together, any sort of research equipment that you need. You've got to get that before, everyone starts getting there, because they did take tourists out. It was a tourist mecca and stuff like that. Yeah. So you had to be there before everybody else got there, and sometimes we were walking down and, most of the time everybody was spending pretty late nights out still.
Mm.
So it was just is exhausting. And then when you're diving, when you're going on, 2, 3, 4 dives a day, it gets very exhausting and very tiring. And then you've still got to go back, and you've got whatever you need to do in the lab or whatever you needed to do at the center or something like that.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn intensive.
It's fun though. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could imagine so. You got to do this thing you love in this amazing place, and then, I guess then the trade-off is just working constantly. But if it's what you want to do, then
it's worth it. And I will say that there's a fine line, because even so, like when I wasn't in Honduras, if for instance we went on vacation somewhere, they give you your like scuba like instructor card, or if you're a dive master or something like that, you have that card and that number. But I would never give that card or that number to anybody. Say if we went like diving on a cruise or something like that, because all of a sudden it turns into work. Because I promise you, all of a sudden it's, oh, hey, so I know you're not working, but so you're an instructor and we've got this person who's not really good. Can you take them with you? And now it's work.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a fine line, but when you are doing what you love to work and you haven't crossed that fine line, it's really rewarding.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure you can relate. And I mean, the same thing with the snakes. It's very rewarding. It's when it's a chore that it's no longer rewarding.
Yeah, no, and then I guess it's probably for you pretty cool to have that experience, because now that feeling to apply it to your reptile collection / business, and not have to learn the lesson that people like me had to learn, in my case, a few times. But
burnout is real.
It's very real. It's extremely real. Yeah, it's been a while since I've experienced it, but it's scary too, because like you think especially when you're in that burnout moment, at least for me, because I don't want to speak for myself, but like it's definitely kind of a cascade of emotions, because it's like, obviously you're exhausted, but then you're like sad that you're exhausted about this thing that you love. And then there's almost like a guilt associated with it. It's like, I'm actually doing it and somehow I'm not happy. Like, what the fuck's wrong with me? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
no, trust me. I mean, granted, my situation where I felt that was a little bit different. I had a lot of postpartum depression when I had my firstborn.
Sure.
So I literally remember walking into my office and going like, I don't enjoy any of this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any of this. This doesn't bring me any joy. This sucks because I don't even want to look at them anymore. And it's an awful feeling. It makes you feel so much worse that you don't enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the things that you did to kind of push yourself through that period?
Medication. Mine was a
medication. Fair enough.
Mine was a medication thing. So that's what mine was.
Go to a psychiatrist, kids, I guess is the answer.
Yeah, and just getting through it. I definitely tried. I remember going to Daytona that year, and I was like, gosh, I don't even want to go to this. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a whole new project, and that's going to make me feel better. It did not. It did not. I bought a whole bunch of crested geckos because
you picked the wrong project.
I know. I thought that I was like, something that looks this cute will make me feel better. And I hate geckos.
They're not for everybody.
No. And I hate bugs. So I don't know why I bought anything. I hate bugs.
Yeah. I mean, I used to keep a big gecko collection, and I still love them. But it's different. It's a completely different way of, of approaching reptile keeping. I don't know. I've worked with everything potentially you can. I would say aside from a lot of amphibians in herpetoculture, and it's snakes for me through and through. They're just the routine of it, how everything can be so regimented. You can do a lot of things on the same schedule. You can travel as long as someone's there to watch stuff. Like
things with legs need so much care, and like they're nasty too. Like, don't get me wrong, some of these snakes that I have are really nasty. But
you keep arboreal pythons and boas.
but they don't, there's not poop streaking down the stinking glass. And I ended up somehow with one crested gecko with a hand fetish. And I've never seen a gecko do that. And I sent a video of the weird thing that he was doing to somebody, and they were like, don't let that gecko do that. That's gross. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know. I think it took maybe 4 or 5 months for me to be like, I want these out of my house. This is awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and not as like a negative advertisement for crested geckos, but I think that's an important thing to just be self-aware within this hobby of like, if you try something out and it's not for you, like not sticking it out just because you feel bad that you made that decision, like, moving them on to a better home or someone who's going to, have them as their priority. Like it's an important thing to do. And, something that I do, a lot of people have done it, and it's always going to be a part of the industry as long as you do it responsibly. So
I think you have to figure out, like, it takes time to figure out what's, what is for you.
Yeah.
Like I owned one ball python. It's not for me.
Yeah.
That's not for me. Cute. Yes. For me. No.
Yeah. Sure.
I like things that hate me more. I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, so like in 2017, when you started to get back into things, what was your mindset going in? I guess, to even start, how long it had been since you had a reptile collection at that point?
I really wouldn't even call what I had when I was younger as a reptile collection. It was
Okay.
more of whatever was in the garage, whatever ended up, we lived out in, I wouldn't say the boonies in Arkansas, but it wasn't like there was plenty out and about. And then I spent some time at growing up at the lake, and there's plenty of stuff there. So honestly, it was whatever ended up in a place that it shouldn't have been, and now all of a sudden it was a pet. I really wouldn't call it a reptile collection. But I mean, I didn't have a super big mindset. Like I said, I liked reptiles. I enjoyed them. And I just kind of wanted to have something other than the dogs, I guess. Don't get me wrong, I love my dogs, but something to kind of change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And just kind of enjoy. And I started out, I had an old, he's old now, ball python. I don't have him anymore. He lives with a great friend, where she has the space in the room for a pet, and her toddler loves him, but an old ball python named Waffles.
Nice.
And he was great, but I was doing a lot of research. I went and saw a lot of friends that had a couple different things, milk snakes and that kind of stuff. And colubrids were not it either. Colubrids were not it. Like, I like some of the ones that you post, and I'm very tempted every time that you post something, but it just wasn't it. What is that?
I don't know. I did a thumbs up and it gave me fireworks. Let's see if it does it again. Okay, I guess.
I don't get it.
You don't get fireworks.
I don't get fireworks.
All right.
I feel like that's something you have to have turned on. I don't know.
It must be. Anyway, I guess continue. I'm sorry for the fireworks.
No, you're good. And it wasn't until I think it was actually Bill's posts that I was seeing back in like 2018, and I was like, wow, these are really cool, and I really like these.
Yeah.
And then I got my first one. Oh, yeah, okay. I got my first one in 2019, and it just kind of blossomed. I was like, yes, this is what I like.
Okay.
I can put them in display cages. They're not hiding. And it was just very eye-opening.
Sure. So, I mean, before that, had you started to acquire a little bit of this and that, or were you really just kind of waiting for that thing to grab your attention?
I tried this and that a little bit. I tried hognose. I had a hognose, and I enjoyed it, but I really quickly figured out that I didn't really like things that were just flat in racks under hides all day long.
Sure.
And that was the specification that I needed, was that I didn't like things that were just not seen.
Yeah.
And if it was in a drawer and it was you know, in a hide and it didn't want anything to do with you, which these still don't want anything to do with you, but at least I can see them and I can enjoy them, that kind of stuff. So that was what I needed to figure out. And once I realized that, I mean, I haven't gotten anything that wasn't arboreal since figuring that out.
Okay.
It's semi-arboreal.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, at this point, what, you only have 3 species?
I only have 3.
4 species? I guess you have
3.
because the scrubs are 2 species you have.
Oh, well, then 4.
You call it 4. Okay. I mean, shoot, that's very concise, but it gives you a nice variety within those few species to where you're not just doing like the same repetitive thing over and over again with the same kind of animal. You know, because I've never really had a collection like that. It's always been a little bit diverse, but I guess I can equate it from an animal standpoint the most to like, I don't know, probably doing rodents where like every single tub you open, it's the exact same task, repeating. And, you know, obviously like a designer green tree python is much cooler than a rat, but it is still the same repeating motion.
Yeah, it is.
I'd have to imagine like the basins and the scrubs are a nice little like break in the action to where, you know, it doesn't like the tension of that monotony is cut by something that's a little bit different.
And smarter. And smarter.
I caught a lot of shit for saying that a while back, so I'm glad you said it. And not
I'll say it. I will 100% say it. The scrubs are my attempt at having something that's got a little bit more going on up here because these just don't.
Yeah, you know, it's what happens when a very like when a species that is very nocturnal, high feeding response, and then relying a lot on those heat pits gets placed in the setting like this, because they're reacting to that sense instead of like what they're seeing in front of them. So that chondro, like you touch the latch on the cage and they go, "Argh!" Like,
oh my gosh. And they feed off of each other. I swear to you, because I can't tell you how many days I have come in and gone to feed this wall, and like this one goes after a puppy pad and this one went after a plant. And then I had one latched onto the water bowl once and I was like, what are you doing? And then I had a pair together and I wasn't even feeding them and they went after each other. And I was like, what? Everybody in here has just lost their mind.
yeah. Yeah, I've been there, done that with chondros for sure. So, you know, one thing that I think will be interesting to hear, because I didn't really have this experience, even though chondros are one of the early animals or snake reptiles I kept. You know, obviously they have a reputation, you know, undeserved for a decent amount, but still you need to learn how to interact, how to work with the green tree and some of their behaviors. Otherwise, you know, you're going to get bit routinely if you don't understand. So as being a somewhat new reptile keeper, at least as far as like from a herpetoculture standpoint, did you have any sort of apprehension about starting with something with the reputation of green trees, or were you kind of like a risk of like, you didn't care about that considering you came from like deep sea diving and whale sharks and shit like that?
Yeah, it didn't really bother me. I mean,
Figured.
I think the biggest thing, like my first chondro that I got was, of course, like that snake has still never bit me. Like I mean, it's one that you can pull it out, touch it all over the face, and it's really, it doesn't care.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until you know, I knew that eventually a bite would happen. It's like I had horses, and when you work with horses and you keep horses, at some point
Some could go
you're gonna
wrong.
get stepped on or you're gonna get kicked.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way that it goes. So I knew inevitably it was going to happen. I think the waiting for it was what was the worst. Like the waiting to be like, okay, we'll let this happen so it can get over with. And then once it finally did, I was like, that's not a big deal. So
yeah.
I think the apprehension came more towards knowing that it was going to happen and waiting for it to happen than actually it happened.
Sure.
So, that being said, I still have yet to be bit by any of the emeralds. I have been bit by the scrub. No, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
The thing is, like, they have this reputation, and I've now that I think about it, I'm not sure if I've ever been bitten by a green tree python, like other than a neonate. But I've taken a handful of scrub bites. I've taken a bite from a 10-foot scrub. And the one snake that I'm not going to speak on are the emeralds, because I really don't know, and that could be extremely detrimental. But for the most part, very few snake bites are actually really that bad. And green tree pythons in particular, just like I don't see them as a, like, sure, what might it hurt more than a king snake, or, I mean, maybe not, because the king snake's going to hold on to you for dear life, and the chondro probably won't. But like, they're not, to me, a species that I see as particularly worrisome, of like, oh, this bite's going to hurt so bad. Like,
No. And their teeth are really like, sure, yeah, like it's gonna bleed. It never fails. Green tree bites, they bleed. But then once you finally get it wiped off and the bleeding stops, you're like, I don't even know where that was.
yeah,
I think I took one bite to the face that
nice.
got me like right here. So that hurt pretty bad, and actually bruised a little bit. And then the only other bites that I've ever had an issue with are when they'll get you and it's like right in the corner of like a fingernail, or like under a fingernail bed. That hurts. That's significantly way more awful.
Sure. I've luckily
So
never had a bite like that, but I could imagine. I've had a tooth stuck in my finger for a good month and a half or so from a
you left
scrub.
it there for a month and a half?
I couldn't get it. I tried my best and I couldn't get it. And eventually it came out. I was like, oh, finally, that's there. So, yeah. I mean, I probably could have tried harder. But like, I tried so hard to get it that I was almost like, is it even really there? But then after a little while, I was like, oh, it's definitely there. And it's like getting embedded now, but it's no
Yeah.
longer in my finger. So I guess that's good. But actually, one of my first mentors in reptiles, he really discouraged me from getting green tree pythons based on his experience with one green tree python. And by the way, he was a pediatrician as well, so a medical professional. He had, I think he said, for over 6 months, a green tree python tooth stuck in his finger, and he didn't really know what it was. And so he's like, yeah, they have big teeth and they bite a lot. And I'm like, hey, it didn't discourage me, but that talking point is out there in, with reptile people. Like, it is what it is,
They're just defensive. At the end of the day, that's all it is.
yeah, absolutely. So I guess once you started getting those green tree pythons, how quickly did that kind of turn in, how quick was the growth, the growth pattern? Was it, one animal here, one animal there, get to know some breeders, kind of get inspired by it? Or was it like, these are cool, I got my first one, let's pound the pavement and build the collection?
I didn't get them super fast, but I did get, one here, one there. I ended up with 4, I think, by the first year.
Okay.
And then I gained a couple more. I have a good friend here, who had some really good stuff in like the same town as me. And he said, hey, I'm kind of restructuring what I'm doing. Are you interested? And so from that, I got quite a few. There was, I think, 5 or 6 that came in that. And then I kind of sat with the ones that I had, which was in and around like 9 or 10 after that with the first 2 years. I kind of sat there for a little bit. I ended up having, like I said, I had my son. I had postpartum depression that I dealt with. And then I got rid of a couple of animals and I said, I'm going to restructure what I'm doing to kind of get closer down to a focus.
Okay.
I'm going to block you again, Calvin.
I didn't know if you'd seen it. Calvin is going to fucking town.
He's feeling it this morning. So
Yeah,
it is this morning for him because he probably just woke up. But no,
yeah.
and then
The drinks are flowing over there in San Luis Obispo, man.
yeah, and then and then it went wild. And now I got a bunch of animals all at once I restructured. And I literally made a list. I made a list. It was a calculated by spending spree. It was a calculated spending spree. And then, but in my defense, people came to me and they said, hey, I have this. Hey, I have this. Hey, I have this. And I'm saying, okay. And then, of course, I got my fiance involved, and he's worse than I am.
Yeah, when you originally told me that, I was just like, huh, okay. I would have kind of assumed the opposite based on, what I've seen and, just knowing you. But then, I met Greg this weekend and talking a bit and hearing more. I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I get that they're both like, there's no voice of reason here. It's full speed ahead.
Yeah, it was full speed. It was full speed ahead. I would literally like I was on, for example, the TSK calicos that I actually posted today. I was on the list for forever because Splash is one of my favorite animals. And I was on that list and they said, okay, well, you're first on the list. Would you like to get one? And I'm like, yeah. And Greg's over here. You should get 2. Ask him if we can get 2. So now we have 2.
This is not it, right?
That is one of them. Yep. That's one. And then the other one is the sib. No, not that one. Yeah. There should be 2 pictures there. I think if you hit the arrow.
There we go. All right. I'm not used to using Instagram on the computer.
So he's just as bad as I am. I mean, we were at Daytona and he's like, we should buy all 4 of these. And I was like, what do we need with these? So.
Yeah. I mean, with that said, though, the TSK Calico line is pretty freaking incredible. So it's a very reasonable one to go after like that. So I'll give you guys credit on that one. Definitely a good choice. So, okay, when you had this kind of sit down, restructure, make your plan for the future, what were the things that you changed? Were there certain lineages or projects that were the ones that you were like, these are going to be my priorities? Like, what did that restructure look like?
So it was a full OCD restructure. I basically sat down because at that point, so I joined the green tree python groups at the end of 2018. And then, I got my first in 2019. And then I was just kind of a part of those groups and I just kind of kept watching and stuff. And I was able to sit and I was like, you know what? I really like the way that this looks. Like this is the look that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I started making a list. I started making a list of the animals that were in the lineages that I enjoyed. I started making a list of breeders who were working with those projects down to specific animals that those breeders were working with. I mean, I had basically, I guess you could call it a wish list, like, oh, specifically, I want, an animal from TSK that came from, the Splash genetics, like I could sit there and say that specifically. Same with like John Leckie stuff. I mean, I got it down to where it was very detailed. And I was like, even if they have an animal from a different clutch, this is the one that I want. And I was just a lot more strict about it. And I kind of lined all those genetics up so that they kind of molded together and that they fit together.
Okay.
For a specific goal that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I just it was basically like a puzzle and just kind of gathering puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. I have acquired a few here and there that are like, you know what? I like those parents. It's not on the list, but so we're just going to add it anyway. Sure. But most of my stuff, if you sit down and look at it, I've probably got 1,000 Excel sheets that if anybody looked at it, they'd be like, whoa, this is excessive. But it's the way that my brain works and it's the way that keeps me on track.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say it's obsessive or you could say like, it's taking a professional approach to building a reptile collection.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very calculated approach.
And, that's something that frankly, I think more people should do, especially, with something like green tree pythons where you have the ability to do that. Like for me with the scrub pythons, when I was getting into it, it was kind of whatever was coming in is all you really had had to choose from. But like, my goal, and, people like you and others who have the scrubs now, is like, it's in 15 years, let's be at a point where we can like do something similar to the chondro world now, where somebody could get in and be like, I'd love to get some Barnecks from descendants of this pairing that happened whenever, or Highlands that are crossed from these two lines, or, whatever that may be. It's one of the things I've always admired most about the green tree world, is just how much attention to detail has been paid, and just like tracking lineages over decades. It's something that really can be applied to anything, and it's applied to very few things.
Yeah, like there's plenty of people out there, but you're not going to get, like, you'll get similar things, but everyone's going to put their own thing in it. Like, I have the TSK Neos. I've got plenty of things from John Leckie. I've got a male from, Bill's Jaeger de Biscuit that had a lot of high yellow in that as well. So all these things, like all these different pieces coming from all different lineages, and then the output is different.
Yeah.
So your output is not the same as somebody else's output. Like Mark's doing high yellows, but he's doing a different kind of high yellow than John Leckie is. So, I mean, it's the same, but it's not. And you can sit and be specific about what lineages of high yellow, for instance, that you want.
Sure.
And I like that. And I agree with you that I think it will be really nice when the scrubs are that way as well. But like when I think of scrubs, like if I'm like, oh, I'm going to go buy a new scrub, I'm going to message you. Who else am I going to message?
I mean, I can name
here and there, but like you're the main person I'm going to shoot for.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, let's go through some of these on the Instagram. Point me to where to go. I want to see some of like the original founder animals you got for the kind of your high yellow projects. So kind of tell me.
You're going fast.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. So, I mean, the one right there in the middle.
This one?
Yeah. So that's actually, he is so plain, but I love that snake. That is the best breeder snake that I have. That is one of the original ones. And you can always tell that they're original snakes that I have, because originally when I started out with all my snakes, I was naming them after the scientific names of sharks.
Okay, that's cool.
So like he's one of them. That's why he's got such an oddball name. And it's one of the ones that I got from the guy that said he was restructuring. And this one was produced by Rod Love at Amore Arboreals. And he's kind of got a little bit of high yellow background, but he's also got a little bit of like the blue background as well. Yeah. And he was a red. That was a red baby. And he doesn't look it. So like he's one of the OG ones, and he's produced several clutches for me now at this point. And they're doing really interesting things. He actually, so if you go back, his baby is actually the one that I have had that's very peppery. So that top left-hand corner, that's hot sauce.
Okay.
And so like that was one of his babies mixed to a biak.
Wow.
And that's produced a lot of results that I didn't really expect.
Okay.
So
and the biak, what you kind of account for like the really strong diamonds?
I'm honestly not sure, because like we got strong diamonds with that, but then I also, I got the really reduced pattern as well.
Okay.
The mask, I think, is more the biak influence for sure, but I don't know. I mean, I got to see. He currently is. I have a clutch that's getting ready to drop. Currently, that's he's the father too. And he is not, it's not bred to a biak. It's actually bred to that yellow girl right next to him in that picture. So I got her from John Leckie. So she's one of my actual absolute favorites.
That white flecking, what is that from? Is that part of her lineage or just kind of a random occurrence? I'm very green on chondro lineage, so you're gonna have to.
So I think that comes from the Jade and the Baby Doll line, which is where so John's stuff came primarily from Rob Worrell. Okay. And I think that's a lot of it to do with it is where that white flecking is coming from.
Okay.
Because I have seen quite a few of this of the yellow siblings that have that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, white on chondros is one of my favorite looks in a lot of different, kind of manifestations. The first green trees I ever interacted with were, like high white, kind of higher white Marukis.
Hmm.
So I just that look to me, it just holds such a special place. But to see that kind of, it's obviously very different, but to see white on other chondros to me is super cool. I mean, um, oh shoot. Why am I blanking on the name? The snake that Socrates has, white diamond,
Oh, I
like
love
like
it.
that animal. Oh, I was lucky enough to see that animal in person, very recently. And
Have
uh,
you have you seen when high yellow animals go hormonal? They change hormonal.
is that kind of like that girl where they go white? I think actually now that you mentioned, you were showing to me over the weekend,
Yeah, they go
like
very white.
that.
She's in shed there, but it's a very similar, but the
Uh,
like the
the
white,
white
you see the
sides.
white on her sides just more creeps up. Um, so that is, it's very interesting to see. That was actually how I knew. I came home from Arkansas. I went to Arkansas. I came home from Arkansas, and I came back and she was a different color.
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I have that's a nice, it's kind of like with the scrubs going dark, but they go dark much further into their process than green trees will go through their hormonal shift. I mean, I just got a melanistic is probably my favorite look within chondros. I got to ask about this animal. What's the deal with this guy right here?
Oh, so that one, it was a barn animal that was
Okay.
produced by Christian Stewart. That was there was the male calico that I had gotten. I also got a female calico from him as well. Unfortunately, I did lose this one
Um,
earlier in the year.
I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks.
It was a hard hit. It was a very hard hit, unfortunately.
Yeah, I could imagine so. My gosh. Yeah, that dark calico stuff is it's just so ridiculous. But do you still have, you said you got another sibling from that clutch?
Yeah, I've got a female. She's a half sibling, so she
Oh,
is. If you go up, I've posted her recently. Oh, there she is on the right hand side. So below the high yellow.
this
Yeah,
one?
so I have her.
Cool.
And she's actually so that was Velvet to Sunshine, and Sunshine um, is the same lineage from three of the animals that I have. So that's Carpet Man, Queen, to OS High Yellow, kind of that lineage, and Mr. Blue. And it's the same as like the male that I was telling you that's very green, the
Mm,
one that's been fathering clutch, and then one male that I would really appreciate if he would kind of figure out what he's doing. He hasn't, and I don't have much faith that he's going to do it again this year. So we'll see.
okay. Yeah, that's nothing more frustrating than a male that doesn't want to get the job done.
That I ran into that. I had a rough season this past year because I
Same.
only had 4 males at the time, because everything that I kept having that would finally, get sexed or whatever was coming female, 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 female. And I ended up with a lot of females and like only 4 males, and only 2 of those males knew what they were doing.
Mm, yeah.
Um, So that's actually a picture that on the left-hand side there is the male that I would love to breed. He's
No, wrong one.
no, that's him, but he's
Oh, okay, okay.
anything.
Nice. Yeah, he's just enjoying that basking spot.
Just
Uh,
enjoying sitting right next to her, but he won't do anything.
hell yeah. What a guy.
Oh, I know.
That's definitely pretty damn frustrating. So I guess you have like a lot of stuff from lots of different lineages. Would you say you have one in particular, like whether it be high yellow or blue line, like what's like the main project that you feel like your collection and your chondros are kind of focused around?
It's the high yellow. It's
Yeah.
100% the high yellow. I've got quite a few animals now from Lecky, and I have full intentions to get more from him. I've got one still due to come in, but it's just been too hot to ship. So
Mm,
like his stuff aligns really well with what I've been doing. the TSK animals that, that kind of like calico, but it's like a high yellow calico also aligns really well. And then a couple of people have said it in the comments, but the animals that myself and a partner recently brought over, that's kind of working with the high yellow and stuff like that. So all of that is moving towards the high yellow stuff.
Sure. Yeah, this project will be discussed more in depth in a future episode, but for the time being, I mean, just to that the vibrancy of that yellow is different. That's going to be pretty groundbreaking stuff when that all comes.
We're very excited about it.
And for very good reason. So let me ask you about the calico's influence and some of the high yellow stuff. This is, obviously me as not a super, hardcore chondro head. Doesn't a lot of that stuff originate from old school blue line projects, the calico?
From my understanding, it does, but it just kind of has branched. Like I know like the TSK, the splash line has branched off, and that was a lot more high yellow. And a lot of the animals that you see from that have ended up high yellow. I know, Dan was on last week on All in the Trees, and like he's got some animals that are like that. Several people have some of the really nice, I believe John has one too, John Irby. From the like splash to like splash daughter and stuff like that. And that's where the calico I feel like is really transitioned into like a high yellow calico and not so much like that blue and the black kind of stuff.
Got it.
But from my understanding, it does, originate from a lot of the blue line stuff. But I imagine anything can kind of be molded once you get it so far into so many genetics and kind of like the right way that you want to do it. I imagine that that's very easy to kind of mold it to a different project.
And I feel like probably it would be easier to go from blue to yellow than yellow to blue, considering the yellow phenotype just seems to replicate more than the blue phenotype.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, we got Brian Fisher giving us the assist. So if I remember right, the computer chondro and the legend were siblings produced by Trooper. The legend produced Mr. Blue, and the CC started the calico line trademarked by Maxwell.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Got it. Cool. Well, some chondro history on my show. What do you know? Crazy world we live in. So then I guess now for you with your high yellow and then introducing the calico, what's your vision with that? What do you hope to see in a few generations from that project?
I don't know that it'll be a few generations, but it might be, somewhat down the line is what I would hope. I really like the yellow and the black together without anything else mixed in. So I'm sure somewhere, somehow there's a way to do it. I've seen mustard. Shoot, Mark Hager's really close. I'm sure you've seen that mustard and black animal that he has.
Yeah.
So my ultimate inline goal is like the high yellow that I have. Like I said, the girl that I have that's just recently bred for me, that's from John Leckie, that's the yellow. She's got the yellow and the green scales. I would love to see black where there is green.
Okay, let's pull this up so we have some visual here. Up, down, where do I go?
Down. She's right there below. Woo, you went fast. Go down. Down, down, down. She's right there.
Got it. Okay, so you said where the blue is, have black.
So where the green is, if we could get like the black. So to have a primarily like bright yellow, not a mustard yellow, but a bright yellow, and then have that kind of the black calico speckling and maybe some white mixed in, but that's kind of like the ultimate goal right now.
Yeah, I mean, wow, I could only imagine what that snake would look like. That would be absolutely ridiculous.
I'm hopeful. That's why I've gotten a lot of like the TSK calicos. I've gotten, if I can get Mark Hager to let something go, something from his projects would fit in perfectly there. I have a mustard girl that's got some black on her as well. And then I actually think that the holdback that I have from last year, hot sauces, is leaning more towards a mustard with that kind of like black speckling as well.
Okay.
So I have the things to mix into it. It's a really interesting, it's going to be kind of an interesting dynamic because a lot of the times the black that you see with the calico animals is coming from the red neonates.
Yeah.
And not so much from the yellow ones, but the yellow neonates, from what I have seen, are the ones that are producing the way more, like the way more yellow, high yellow background. Not that you can't. I mean, I'm sure you've seen Magic, who is Chewy and CJ. They have it's like a red sibling to this one.
Okay.
And she's very high yellow as well.
Okay.
So it definitely can be done, but I see it more in the yellow neonates. So, and that's why like a lot of what, Mark Hager is doing aligns really well too, because it is the yellow neonates is kind of bringing the black in.
Yeah.
So it's projects like that are still kind of on that list of what I really could use.
Sure.
So still working on those. But yeah, so that's kind of the goal that we're going towards.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see, what ends up coming of it. We're at that midway point, so I'm going to jump to the commercial break real quick. So if everyone could just sit tight, we'll be back in a minute, and we're definitely going to keep on this conversation.
One of the biggest growths we have in the reptile industry today are the rare species of reptiles that aren't worked with. That's right. That's why I went ahead and partnered up again with Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian works with species such as kahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, all species of tree monitors. He works with abronia and many other cool species geckos that you can check out all on his website. Head over to sundownreptiles.com, see what he has available. Brian's one of the best doing it in the reptile industry today. He's been on the show multiple times, so make sure you check out all of Brian Susan's episodes on Trap Talk Reptile Network. But more importantly, for the highest quality of captive bred reptiles, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Thank you again, Brian Susan over at Sundown Reptiles. One of the things I love about being a part of the reptile industry is all the learning, okay? Learning can be fun, and I can prove that to you. Thank you so much to today's sponsor, it's Gary Scavino over at gs.reptiles. I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, follow all this man's content when it comes to learning about rare species of snakes you could be keeping in the hobby, and also just finding out how easy a lot of these rare species of snakes are to keep in general. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Again, head over to his YouTube channel. Also head over to his Instagram to be on top of all of his current work and be ready for a big year over at GS Reptiles. Thank you so much, Gary, for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it. Choo!
All right, we're back. So on this, all right, I guess other than Mark, is there anybody else who is getting close-ish to kind of this vision that you have?
Yeah, I mean, Lecky's pretty close too.
Okay.
Definitely. He's got a couple of projects in the works, and he's got some animals that I'm kind of waiting to see if he'll reproduce those that have produced a lot of black on the yellow neos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So definitely for sure for him. Other than the two of them, I don't see a whole lot of people who are actively breeding and actively working with yellow neonates that are producing a bit of that black speckling and that black phenotype.
Okay. Well, I mean, that gives you kind of a nice opportunity to, be right in the mix. So this is kind of what you were talking about, like the mustard with some of that black.
Yeah, so that is my most recent animal from Rod Love, she's actually got some lemon tree in her as well.
Oh,
and
cool.
she's held on to a lot of the black. And she was red. So she's not quite the same project, because a lot of the problem that I'm running into is a lot of the animals that I have that do have the black and the black speckling, they come from an all red clutch, and they came from plenty of other all red clutches. So I'm a little bit nervous that some of that's going to be, some people want the red dominant. And when it comes for projects like this, I don't necessarily want the red dominant.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my problem, and she may be one of those. So it may be several lineages before I can, put her into something, or put another animal that has a lot of the black going on into that project because of dealing with that problem.
Okay. No, that definitely makes sense. It's interesting, kind of the difference in how the the red and the yellows make a significant difference with that project. I've always really loved red or yellow neonates. Like my first chondro was a yellow neonate, so like they hold a very special place in my heart. So, I feel like I'm always rooting for the underdog with the yellow neonates.
I think it's time for the flip, the switch gets flipped a little bit, because I do feel like there's a lot of people that do really hate on yellows. We won't name any names, but I do feel like there's a lot of people that do really hate on the yellows. And I think that they definitely have their place. I think when you're going for a high yellow project, like I said, I do see more, I just see it happen more. I see you end up with more like actual high yellow animals when you have yellow neonates. Like for instance, my high yellow girl, like I have a half sibling to her. She was red, but she's mostly like, she's pretty much green. So yeah, you're going to get the ones here and there that there are red and they do end up high yellow, and that's great. But I think it can be definitely very situational.
Okay. Well, that'll be definitely a cool project to keep up with over the years. And I guess, for me watching from the sidelines, I don't have to worry about picking neonates. So I can, watch all you guys either fail or succeed, which will be fun.
I know, I think that's going to be the hardest thing is I can at least pick holdbacks when it comes to red neos, because people do it all the time. So they're like, oh, look for this and that and this and that with the red neos. But the yellow neos, I haven't quite figured out. And I'm going to have to do that this coming season, because I've got both of the girls that I have that are getting ready to lay. I'm going to want to hold back yellow neos from that. So we'll see if I'm any good at it this season.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have that problem. I guess that's all I'll say. I deal with snakes with OCCs as well, but not like that. So
No.
Usually by the second shed, I'm getting to the point where I have a pretty damn good idea. So I guess, and aside from that, are there any other main avenues that you're going down as far as your chondro projects, or is that yellow calico kind of like the thing that you're ultimately shooting for with a lot of what you're working with?
Yeah, it's definitely my main thing. Don't get me wrong. I have a little bit of a blue project going on as well. So like I have a couple of animals that fit with the blue project, and I have some animals that overlap. So for instance, the love male that I have, he's got high yellow in his background, but he's also got blue in his background as well. So, like I have some of those ones that can overlap, and I have a little bit of the blue. I just recently got a neo from Steven Saltzman's latest batch. So like, obviously that's more in line with the blue. I have some from Tony. So, I do have that, because I do enjoy it. It's not, it's a little bit over. I see it too much. It's a little bit overdone to me. By far, most people's most favorite things usually are like the high blue, black chondros, which I get it. They're very pretty and I really like them, which is why I have some of them.
Yeah.
But the yellow definitely holds my heart. And then I really like Biocs in general. So I have quite a few Biocs, and I have quite a few projects where I just want more Biocs. So
fair enough.
Just because I think that they're like the ultimate wild card, and there's so much, like they're great to mix into pretty much any project. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody mix a Bioc into something where it didn't come out. There weren't ones that didn't come out just stunning.
Yeah. No, I agree with that from a non-chondro person standpoint. Yeah, it definitely seems like you can never go wrong with throwing some into a Bioc. That the results never, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Aiden said it very well. You can never have too many Biocs.
No.
So I guess at this point, do you have a goal of like how big you want your chondro group to be? How many clutches a year you want to shoot for? Like, are there any benchmarks that you're kind of, the whatever you're kind of aspiring to going forward?
I can tell you that my collection currently is bigger than I anticipated it to be, and I would it's bigger than I would prefer it to be. And that
Okay.
is because, like I said, I ended up, when I sexed a lot of my animals, I ended up with a lot of females. And I, you know, who gets rid of good females, who sells females. So it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to, like, I ended up with more females. I'm not going to sell that. So I'll just buy males. And then, like, I held animals back, and lo and behold, the animals that I held back are also female. And I'm like, okay, well, like, nobody sells females. No one does that. They do that, but my brain tells me that nobody does. So I've ended up with more chondros than I wanted, but at the same time, like, every time I look at it, I'm like, well, that fits in a project somewhere, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep it.
Yeah.
I by no means do I want to do 7, 8, 9 clutches in a year. That's not something I want to do, because at the end of the day, I am a mother. I have an infant. I have a toddler. And they take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I would at some point like to go back to doing what I went to school for. So, like, right now, I could probably do more because I am home.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I want that to be kind of something that I enjoy doing on the side, not something that is work. And feeding 80 baby chondros is not something that I consider fun.
Yeah.
I've been blessed with all of my babies that I have had so far. I have not had any that I have produced that have been troublesome animals.
Wow.
And I know that that is due to change. I have several clutches that I'm trying for this year. This will probably be a bit of a bigger year than probably than I really want it to be. But I have a little birdie in my ear whispering, "Go big or go home."
You do have the power to control that. I hope you know.
Oh, I know. I know that I do. I know that I do. But it's also like, I didn't have pairs that didn't go last year because of the fact that the males didn't go. And so it's like, well, I'll give it a try. So, like, I have a number, you know, I'll probably at max put 5 to 6 pairs together per year is kind of what I'm aiming for, with the hope of only getting like 3 to 4 clutches.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm doing a little bit more this year. I've got 7 pairs that I'm putting together, have already put together. And in the words that I use, if they all 7 go, I will probably cry. So I'm hopeful that doesn't happen, but so far I'm 2 for 2. So I tried 2 early pairs, and they both are. That's what the covered cages are, because I don't want to disturb them.
I'm now just realizing that that's not just that the lights are off. Okay.
No, they're covered.
Took me an hour and 13 minutes. Got it. All right.
Yeah, I covered them so that they're I don't have to worry about them being, because this is my office. This is like, I come in here to feed, I come in here to do other things, and I don't want them to be disturbed by me walking around and doing stuff. I want them to lay healthy clutches and come out of it on the other side doing really well. So, like I said, so far I'm 2 for 2. I have 5 more pairs I'm going to put together. I'm also going to try some scrubs this year. And I have 1 emerald pairing that I'm trying. And like I said, this is really advantageous, and I don't want all of that to go by any means. But then again, you know, like, I tried 4 last year and only 1 went. So
I mean, that's really the thing where it's like, you kind of hit, you know, you think about that average, like, if half the females I try go, it's a good year. And then you end up getting like 75%. And you're like, oh shit, what have I done?
Yeah. And that's kind of what it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing.
It's a gamble. It's 100% a gamble. Yeah.
So I am hoping for, I am fine with it being a little bit more of a busier year this year. Yeah. So I am hoping for maybe 5 clutches, but that includes if I try the scrubs too.
Yeah.
So
speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil.
Scrub pythons. So why scrub pythons? You know, you have your green trees, I'm assuming before the scrubs you had your basins. What intrigued you about scrubs that made you say, let's take the dive?
Because you posted too many pretty pictures.
Okay.
because you posted too many pretty pictures. And then I started watching videos, and then people were talking about how smart they were and how great they were and their big bug eyes when you look at them. And I was like, these are cool. And then you're over here posting pictures, and I was like, ooh, okay, wait. Let me get that one and that one and that one. So it's really when it does boil down to it, it is your fault.
All right. I mean, I'll gladly accept that responsibility. So then I guess, as somebody who was, mostly working with stick dwelling arboreals at the time, what was it like to, learn the species, acclimated to your routine, being that they are very different in many ways from what you were already working with?
Mine are still almost always on the sticks.
Fair enough.
Like most of the time they're on the sticks. Now they wreak a little bit more havoc in their cages.
Yeah.
I had to invest in, so like I have the radiant heat panels from VE, and I have the locks in them, but I had to invest in better locks because it was constant that they were just popping the plug, getting in there and crawling in through the hole and popping the plug off of it, popping the lights down. Like they're usually just everywhere.
They have better locks.
Mm-hmm.
We'll need to talk afterward about what that is, because I need whatever that is. Black
Box, which is who I get my cages through, they print some, and it leaves no gaps whatsoever.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not a VE thing, but from my understanding, you can use it with probably any cages as long as it's got a big enough gap that they just kind of go right in there, and there's no gaps whatsoever.
Huh.
There's no way for them to crawl in. Now, I still haven't figured out how to get them to quit knocking the lights down. That most recent mail that you sent me is notoriously bad about it.
Interesting.
But other than that, I mean, obviously I put them hides in there. They much prefer to use the puppy pad, which I guess is what the conversation we were having this weekend, as I'm going to have to learn to start keeping some substrate for them. They have them in their boxes, but
all right. Well, geez.
I like the puppy pads for the sake of cleanliness. But there's honestly nothing about them as clean. They're pretty bad too. They're pretty nasty too.
In comparison to chondros.
Yeah, because they have the first one that you sent me, the first girl, she has a poop corner. She poops in that corner every single time. She poops in that corner. And it is I have to get a scraper to get it out of the corner and out of this, because it's always under the puppy pad, out of the silicone. And it's just a disaster.
It's almost like the puppy pad was the issue there.
It is probably the puppy pad's issue. Yeah. But I like it, and I'm shocked he's not. No, he's just doing his own thing. But they're usually I like how they're right always at the screen. They're right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the curiosity for them, is one of the things I really like about them the most. It's just like they're keeping tabs on you. But they're not scared. I don't know, there's some other python species that are visually intimidated by movement and whatnot, but they definitely are good for display in that sense.
The green trees just go after everything. So they're up at the glass too, but for instance, my toddler can come in here and he can, the scrubs are kind of at eye level for him, and he can come in and he can look at them, and they're not going to hit the glass. Yeah. Very rarely. I have one that does that now, but they're not going to hit the glass versus green trees are almost guaranteed to do that. And it's almost like they're too dumb not to know that they're going to break a tooth on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, I mean, I've had some face slammers with the scrubs before, and it sucks, but there's not a whole lot you can really do about it with some of them. And people say oh, we'll cover the enclosure, but I almost feel like that almost promotes the behavior even more. If you're not desensitizing them at all, then they're going to be even more scared the next time that big flash of light from the outside hits them. This big thing is moving around. I don't know. I almost feel like it's like for a short-term solution, sure, but I don't think it's going to calm that snake down in the long run. I don't know.
I definitely agree. I have one chondro that's particularly bad about being a face slammer. And I get nervous and I get really worried that she's going to break something.
Yeah, sure.
When that's constantly going on. And when she'll go through periods where she's really bad about it, and I'll cover her. But when she's, like she's uncovered right now. But there are times that like, well, I'll be sitting here just where I am now. That's her right there. And all of a sudden I'll bend over to go get something and you just hear pop. I'm always worried about them breaking a tooth, causing mouth rot or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So as far as like husbandry goes with the scrubs, how similar or different are you taking care of them in comparison to your chondros and emeralds?
So I keep the scrubs a little bit warmer. They definitely like it a little bit warmer. They don't seem to like, I missed the chondros and the emeralds and stuff, their enclosures and stuff. Lord, let's not let Chris roll over in his bed talking about misting the emeralds, but I do. The
spray Illuminati is coming for you.
I know. I spray them. Oh my gosh. But so like I don't mist the scrubs. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever, but they they just kind of do their own thing. Like I said, I keep them a little bit warmer. They like to sit the new cages that I just got have shelves in them, like the permanent basking shelves. Yeah. And I've learned that they like that. I put the bigger girls from you. I have like the elevated water bowls that I got printed from Brahms. And I learned very quickly that not to bother putting the actual bowl in there because like that first girl I got from you, she just pops it out. She uses it as a extended perch and extended shelf to set her big body on. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not even going to bother with that. So they definitely like to have more, which are they're huge snakes. So options to perch and kind of lay lazily across. I have yet to see any of mine. I've seen pictures of people posting where they're like, they almost kind of look like chondros, but I haven't seen mine do that at all. They're always almost curled up on the branch extenders or the elevated water bowls or like the box or something. Some of them have like the big boxes where they can like go into, and they're always almost laying on that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I haven't used like proper perches in a lot of bigger scrub enclosures. For one, my cages aren't set up for it, and two, just the labor involved with removing like 50, 60 adult scrubs off of a perch on a regular basis is just something that nobody has time for, frankly.
It's awful. I will admit that's awful.
I mean, the thing about scrubs, when you want to compare them to like chondros or emeralds, if you have, maybe not in a 2-cube, but like if you have a 3x2 or a 4x2 with a long perch in it, you can grab theoretically if the chondros on this end, grab that end of the perch, obviously, remove it, whatever. Same with an emerald. There's no such thing as out of that scrub strike range with that perch. You're not just grabbing that. You're not just, grabbing that perch with your hand and pulling it out like a chondro. And they're also not going to just sit there like a chondro once that perch is moving. That's immediately going to get them to start moving around. So that's definitely a big difference there, where you don't quite have that luxury with scrubs that you do with chondros.
It is. And so like with the chondros, anytime I've ever needed to get in and clean, if I don't intend to take them out, I can take like a little water bottle and just kind of like give them a good little, misty. And they're usually like, okay, just kidding. I don't want, like, you don't have to spray me. I don't want that. And they just kind of tuck it and they do their thing. The scrubs don't do that. They do not do that. They do not do that. They could care less. But I am at least blessed that most of the scrubs that I have in this house, I just kind of go in with my hook that I need to replace. I finally bought a new hook this weekend.
Wow.
the hook not the go-go gadget extendo hook. But I can usually just kind of go in and kind of like push their head to the side, and they're like, okay, whatever, you're not feeding me.
Yeah.
So like I can be elbow deep in the cage, and they're not bothering me. Like the scrubs are not bothering me.
Kind of is in line with what Lisa just asked about, would they just sleep while you clean their enclosures? And, you know, it seems what you're saying is they're aware, but once they kind of know what's going on, they're pretty much tolerant of the whole ordeal.
Yeah, but they do definitely, like, they'll start to move and they start to get out, and I have to be really careful. So like all of them are on the bottom. They're on bottom cages.
Okay.
But like they'll come out, and like while I'm cleaning and stuff, like the one that I said that has the poop corner that I have to like kind of scrape her little corner out. She can, like, I don't mind if she comes out and just kind of wanders kind of the floor a little bit, but she can be halfway up the door frame, and I before I even realize it, because her back end is still in the cage and she's halfway up the door frame.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that they sleep. They definitely, it depends on how in depth I've got to get into cleaning. A lot of times I'll move them. I have a step ladder that I put in like the middle of my hallway outside of my office, so that I know that they can't stretch out and knock something over.
Okay.
Because if I put them too close to my desk, they either wrap around the desk legs, or they knock a lamp over, or they knock the pin glass over, or something like that. So I just stick her on the ladder, and I clean and then go and put her back. I've taken the whole ladder and just like stuck the ladder in the cage before. I'm like, okay, go back.
Yeah. No, it really does seem like the two most effective means of like what to do with your scrub while you're cleaning the enclosure is either one, if you can, just hold it and kind of let it hold you, or what I do in my like adult room, I have this corner where there are no gaps anywhere. The cages are on the ground, and for the snake to get above the cages, they need to climb 7.5 feet, which they're very capable of doing. So like for them to fuck some shit up, I would need to not be paying attention for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
But like the desk leg, or like you're wrestling that snake.
It's a ridiculous. That's what I had. I will on occasion like take mine out like outside into like the grass and stuff, because I feel like, hey, that might be nice to stretch out in the sun a little bit when it's particularly nice. I like to get the little kiddie pool. I don't care. I don't know that they care anything about it, but I've taken one of the first male that you sent me. I'll take him out and I just kind of fill the kiddie pool up a little bit. And I've watched him get in there and take some serious long drinks, like just drink and drink and drink and drink.
Yeah.
Cool. And just, it's super cool to see. And then he just kind of goes about his way. But I had one issue. I left the water hose too close, and I didn't think I was ever going to get the snake off of that water hose.
Oh,
it was every time I got him off on one end. And then I made that fence that was in the background of that picture. I made the mistake of putting one of the Malucans on the fence, and I was like, oh my God, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, that's not going to end well.
No.
Yeah, they're never underestimate a scrub python's ability to anger with its tail. That
oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one of the things that makes them the most unique. And frankly, like when it comes to actually handling them, it's kind of nice because, you know, a bigger snake, they're not super heavy, but they're heavier than, you know, a small snake than a green tree or an emerald.
They're heavy.
But then when they wrap around, when they're kind of holding you as much as you're holding them, that makes it a lot easier than like a dead weight snake, like a rock python or a blood python, that like if you're holding that animal, it's not helping you out at all.
I can't imagine trying to hold like all your pictures. You take them, your like arms way up in the air and stuff like that. Can you imagine holding a blood python, just like a big slug in the air like that?
I've never tried.
You couldn't. I don't think you could.
Yeah, probably not. And then like I would be just so worried about the snake making a quick move and hurting itself by like falling.
I can't even manage. I've tried, and that's why there's hardly any pictures. I don't know if Calvin's still in the comments. He is my worst critic about the scrub pictures. I actually want to. I've been talking. I need to. That took two people. That took two people to take that picture. But because I'm not holding the back end of the snake in this picture, I'm only holding the front end of the snake.
You're cheating, is what you're doing.
You think that I'm holding that big snake on my fingers? You see, it's back in the end.
No, I don't think you are.
And they move so fast, and I'm unable. I got short, stubby arms, and I'm just unable to get it. I'm unable to get it kind of going.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an art of like maintaining a majority of the animal's body like in your hand while the head is still in a position that looks good. I mean, there's a reason why even on my Instagram there aren't a lot of the bigger scrub pythons, because it's just like with a girl that's big, that's
yeah. See, I've tried to manage the whole like the body and the hand, and then I kind of like I took it and like tucked the neck and the hand like in between that, and basically the snake just whipped out and whipped me in the face. And I was like, okay, well that's not gonna work. And you know, Calvin said, well, you just put them in a low tree branch. And I was like, I don't have any trees. I live in a brand new neighborhood. I don't have any trees. I have a palm. There's a palm tree. It's the nearest tree.
Wow, that sounds like the sketchiest idea ever.
I don't think he means like a big tree. I think he means like a little tree.
One that
I want to have Ron Rundo make me like a fancy cool stand.
That'd be really cool.
Fake tree that I can use specifically to take pictures of the animals. I just don't know the logistics of how that would work. I imagine it would have to be anchored pretty well to not just tip over. Because like I've got I think it's meant to be a towel, like a beach towel where you hang your beach towels for them to dry. That's got sand. You put sand and water in it. And I use that for like I usually take all of the big chondros out, and I take, God forbid, Chris is going to nail me for this. I take the emeralds out and stuff like that, and like give them a little rain shower, not because I think they need it to poop, but I think it's nice and they seem to enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh my God, the spread Illuminati has
every so often. It's not because I need them to use the bathroom. It's just because it would rain in the rainforest.
It's infiltrated my show.
I know. I'm sorry, but
I spray all my snakes. So,
but I take them out like when it's nice and warm or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I'll see a lot of my chondros will do a lot of drinking or something like that with it, and they don't move away from it. They have the opportunity to move away from it if they want to, and it's not very often. I'm not built an entire rain chamber that they're going in, you know, every other week. That's ridiculous.
You don't need to justify it.
Yeah, but there's negative chance that would hold one of the larger scrubs.
Yeah, sure.
It would not. It would tip straight over.
Yeah.
And it's got sand in the bottom of it. So.
Yeah, that would be super cool. I feel like, you know, like I'd like to do something similar, but I have no idea where the hell I would do it. So, but yeah, I mean, a scrub would go crazy. I think Eric Lee has an interesting setup. He's a retic breeder in California, but like this kind of like jungle gym in his backyard that are like pretty big, where all like he lets his retics go stretch on it and stuff like that, and it's really cool. So you know, Lisa asked a couple questions this in a follow-up. So do you have a pair of the Malucans? I
do. I have a pair that MJ used to have. So I have that male and the female, which is the you know, kind of like the golden colored male, and then the axanthic female.
Cool. And then, so are the Malucans more rambunctious than the Amethystina? Well, I guess it's for both of us, or do you find them to be similar? So, yeah, between your Malucans and your Barnecks, are there any behavioral differences you really see?
The Malucans are a lot more nosy. So, like, they're more, you know, like I'm in my office right now, and the Barnecks, the two Barnecks that are in here, they could care less that I'm in here right now. But the the Malucans, if I go anywhere near, they're like they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So they're a lot more nosy, but other than that, their personalities are fairly similar. I would even say that the Malucans are a lot more tolerant. And I don't know if that's because they're older, but they're more tolerant than the Barnecks are.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me because I think they're really, really similar in a lot of ways. But I would say like across the board, Malucans might have better demeanors, but that's hard to say because so many of my Barnecks are really, really chill as well. But I would agree, yeah, they're very, very curious snakes, the Malucans. Much more likely to kind of check out what's going on when the the Barnecks are like more than content with just kind of sitting still. They obviously know that you're there, and they are aware of what you're doing, but they're like just kind of sitting, chilling with what they're doing. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very cool. So kind of what is your vision with your scrub python projects? Is it something you want to just have as a small side project, or is it something that you could see yourself diving a little bit deeper into?
Well, I'm not allowed to get more.
Well,
So
that's obviously not true.
not allowed to get more. I really like, so like I've seen the ones that you post, and overall my favorite is the Barnecks. I really like, I go back and forth between liking the really thick dark bands or liking the really reduced patterning. And then you've got the, like the male that I got from you that just kind of like fades into darkness towards the end of his body, and I really like that as well. So I narrowed down exactly what direction to go with the scrubs? No, I really haven't, because I just really like the whole way that they look. But I mean, I've got 4 Barnecks and 2 of the Malucans, so gonna stick probably in and around that right now.
Yeah, it's really tough from the Barnecks to. I mean, there's a reason why I have over 40 of them. I can't pick. But what is kind of nice is even from a pairing that's, I think for me, every pairing of like of 2 highly patterned animals, every time I've done a pairing like that, I've gotten 1 reduced pattern baby out of each clutch. And then even vice versa, where I've had reduced pattern pairings where I've gotten pretty heavy pattern babies out of the clutches as well. So it is kind of nice that, I think line breeding will very much be like a possibility. And I mean, honestly, it's already happening, but like you can direct where you want your breedings to go. But I kind of think there are always going to be random ass ones that just pop out of clutches, which is kind of fun, they kind of never exactly know what's going to happen as a result of a breeding.
Am I dumb and maybe just haven't seen it, but is albino a thing?
So there is a caramel albino Barneck that is in a collection in South Korea. That was a wild caught.
But we don't have albino. We haven't seen albino in the US.
No. I think that's the only albino. There have been a handful of other morph scrub pythons that have existed. And frankly, I may have a morph floating around that now you have floating around. Not exactly sure what it is. The second male, the lineage that he's from, the female is like almost solid black, and she has thrown some wild looking offspring that look nothing like anything I've seen before. So, but I'm not even...
that would kind of because like I messaged you the other day and I was like, it's wild to see the 2 because they're like right on top of each other. And even Kaylee was looking at it and she was like, why is this one so yellow and this one is like a ash color?
Yeah.
And I was like, they're the same thing. So your guess is as good as mine. And that like that male does, he's a lot of a more like a ash wash to it. And then he gets, he washes out and gets really dark. And I really enjoy that. But then when you look at her, she almost looks golden compared to him.
Right. And so I think going forward with the scrub, with the Barnecks in particular, I think instead of looking at it from like a reduced pattern to heavy pattern, it's going to be more like the base color is going to be what distinguishes lineages, because like that female, the entire clutch, with the exception of one individual, like they're very much on like the gold end of the color spectrum, where like that male, this kind of to show what can happen with this, like one male has, or the male that I kept has like almost that same tone of gold as your female, but like a little bit brighter. And then another sibling is like an axanthic.
Yeah, and that's the kind, like I kind of get that vibes from the male that I have got. There's not a lot of gold to it.
Yeah.
I don't know, the other ones that you sent me are kind of in the middle.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. It'll be fun to kind of see going forward. It's like very much in the infancy of selective breeding with scrub pythons. So it, to me, it's cool. Like, obviously with the green trees, you can get into a project that has had groundwork laid for decades, but then a project like scrub pythons is like, we're in like the 80s of chondros, and to me, that's super exciting because we can dictate how this looks going forward.
Do you think that we'll see somewhere like within the US as far as like albino, leucistic, something like that? Because technically, like those genetic variations pop up in every single species at random. It doesn't have to be somewhere where it's, like obviously ball pythons and boas and stuff, they've bred it to where it's like a science at this point where it's, a het and stuff, but those things just happen at random.
Yeah.
And it's just a random genetic mutation. Like even people, you can have people all of a sudden, like no albinos in your family, and all of a sudden somebody pops up with albinism and it's just a genetic abnormality. So in theory, you would think that would pop up.
Oh, sure. Inevitably they will. I mean, there have been a handful of morphs that have been found in the wild over time. Time will really tell on that. If the morphs that are there, they've all ended up in this one collection in South Korea. If they ever go elsewhere, I've definitely put my hat in the ring for future babies on those. Because he's posted all this, the caramel albino barneck, leucistic, or like mostly leucistic because there's still some pattern halmahera, the ivory jayapura scrub. There was a leucistic southern that was found last year that it probably didn't make it because I never saw another picture of that animal. The same guy has a patternless halmahera, which I haven't seen another one of. So it's happening for sure. The mutations have been occurring. I mean, axanthic is super present in both the Malucan population and the Tanimbar population. So I think it's just a matter of time. Obviously, the imports from Indonesia are never a guarantee, and they've become much reduced over the last handful of years, and primarily because other countries are out competing us. They're still collecting the animals. They're still exporting them. It's all stayed the same. It just, they're not really coming here anymore, especially with how the laws in Florida have changed. Most of the scrubs are coming into Florida before. So, is it possible? For sure. And it would be really cool. It would be especially cool if some of them just popped up in captive collections in the US instead of having to like deal with, establishing a wild caught animal that might have some age on it or might not be in the best of health. So I know that it's a very highly contentious topic within the scrub community. But I just think that it's cool for one. Like I like how they look, some of these different morphs. And I think as long as it doesn't promote mass crossing of species and localities, I'm all for it. But as soon as like, okay, let's say somebody, not to throw shade on this community, but let's say a retic breeder bought that caramel albino barneck and now they have it. So what I would do if I had that, and it's a female, well, let's say it's a male, I would get 4 female barnecks and just try to get it to breed as many of those females as possible. The concern would be if that guy would just get any female scrub python possible, because you can get them for cheaper, or might just not even know better. Not like think it's just all morphs, whatever it may be. And now all of a sudden there's like 50-50 Barneck Southern het albino and Barneck Jayapura het albino. And then
But at the end of the day, isn't that what Chondros did?
It is what Chondros did, but kind of before anyone knew better, in a way.
Doesn't really change anything.
I mean, the main difference that I would say is just that most Chondros look pretty much the same, within a little bit of discrepancy. They're a green snake with some discrepancy as to how, what kind of green and what other colors are involved. But like a Key Island scrub and a Biak scrub look like nothing alike, where I'd have to imagine that there are green trees on Key Island, but let's use Aru as the example because it's right next to Key. An Aru and a Biak, they look very different, especially just to a chondro person. But to a regular person, they say green snake, this one's kind of yellow, this one's kind of white. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like orange and purple snake, brown and black snake, nothing alike at all. And the cross would probably look terrible. And yeah, Brian makes a great point. It's probably much more comparable to carpet pythons.
Yeah, I guess I can see that.
So, there have been cross scrubs made. I've had some in the collection. I don't anymore. Some people like them, some people don't. But I think that muddying down those genetics the way that carpet pythons did, I think it's just not going to be for the best in the long run. Like if that albino Barneck were to be bred into like the most high contrast, dark Barneck lineage possible, then that albino in 3 generations is going to look freaking stunning. But if it were to be just crossed into whatever just to make more of it, you're probably going to get a really muddy looking, crappy albino that's probably not even that high contrast, and you can't trace back to shit.
But you know that people are bound to do that, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, there's so many people that are in the hobby and the industry, then they're in it for the wrong reasons. They're in it, they see, dollar signs and stuff like that. So it's the same concept of, I have definitely seen people breeding, even just the green trees. I've seen people breed green trees together, and I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, for sure.
What makes that cross advantageous? Or is it just because you had snake A and snake B, and snake A and snake B could make money?
Right, exactly.
So that's the reason why you're putting them together. You haven't actually put any thought towards the project that you're doing and where you're going with it. Mm-hmm. So it almost makes me worried that is something that in the long run, as people get more into scrubs, that we're going to have to deal with anyway, because people are like, I've got this and I've got that. And well, they've got the same working sex parts. So It makes sense. If it can do it, it can do it. That's how you end up with people crossing green trees and ball pythons.
Right. And it will inevitably happen, especially as scrubs get more popular, which they are at a pretty steady rate. I think, though, what we all as the scrub enthusiasts, be it us, both Lisa and Brian in the chat, congratulations for one, Brian Fisher just hashed out a beautiful clutch of scrub pythons. Brandon, I don't know if he's still around as well, but like, if we talk about this stuff now when we're in such the infancy of it, hopefully that can work to kind of steer new keepers in the right direction. But I think even more than just like making that the culture of the community is taking away the economic incentive. Mm-hmm. Because like with carpet pythons, it's gotten to the point now, like the jungle jag in the early 2000s was a 5-figure snake. And but jungle jags, and especially once the diamonds got crossed in and the gamma line, those are objectively stunning. You just can't, like, they look like they don't look real.
You're going to use that as incentive, though. I mean, God, can you imagine at some point, it's going to happen at some point.
I know
someone's going to go scrub python, green tree python. Let's see what they do. It's going to happen.
Yeah, but the thing is that hybrid projects, there's no real, like, I would say the only hybrid reptiles that have really had like long-term staying power are some of the North American colubrids where like, I'm not going to get the example right, but there's some corn snake morphs where like an emery rat snake was the first one that had the morph and it was crossed in the corn. It's been like, there are hybrid North American colubrids that have withstood the test of time, but like carpandros are a very niche community, like a very, very niche. And so I'm honestly not worried really about that. Like inevitably will somebody breed a scrub to a retic? Sure. Will I want to hunt them down? Of course I will. But like, I'm not too concerned about that. Like, we've seen with the retics that they've done the retic and Timor hybrids and like they look cool. And then like 75% retic to Timor morphs have been made and they look almost indistinguishable from a retic, especially to someone who's not a specialist in the area. I think that gets kind of scary, but like the blood is, or like the waters are already so murky within those snakes that like, what are you really going to do about it? But then like there are people who are really focused on maintaining the lineages within like the super dwarf retics, like the locality stuff. So like that stuff's probably safe. I think with scrubs, I'm much more concerned about crossing within species and localities of scrub python than hybridization. Yeah. But like, and I got to give Alexandra a lot of credit when she did her Barneck and Southern crosses. She didn't like price them at the top end of the market, because whether or not, like, let's say, and not even to use her as an example, I think she priced hers very fairly. Let's say if I were to breed, I don't know, an Aru to a Malucan, probably would look pretty damn cool, frankly. But like, let's say if I produce those and I put them at $5,000 a piece, I may not sell any of them for $5,000 a piece, but some idiot, and I would also be an idiot, would like see my morph market at $5,000 a piece and be like, oh, well, I have these two. I have a Tannenbar and a Halmahera. I've never seen that cross made. And if I hybridize them, can I sell them for $5,000 a piece? But
that's like, how we ended up with all these crazy doodle dogs and stuff like that, and people mixing corgis with poodles or corgis with concorsos and stuff like that, because it's the same concept. Right. They made doodles, and doodles are like, oh, it's this designer dog breed. Well, and so now all of a sudden it's mixed with everything. So I understand like sure. That 100%. Once one idiot does it, so there's not, all the other idiots are going to do it.
I would say the only, and I got to be this guy. I grew up with doodles. I'm a doodle defender.
Oh no, Steven.
It's all right. I'm not like an everything doodle guy, but those dogs were phenomenal. One of them is still around. But anyway, the thing about that though, the doodle solved a problem. There was problem of the shedding dog.
No. I have met doodles that have shed worse than everything else.
Then that's a poorly bred doodle. Because my dogs didn't shed a hair.
And now they're mixing there is literally someone in my town that sells koodles. They're koodles. they're corgi poodles.
Okay. That I'm not, that I'll draw the line somewhere. I'm pro like responsible doodle, not like backyard, meth head doodle like that. But I guess we might be getting a little bit off the rails here. But like
off the rails.
But like that did solve a problem. Like you want a golden retriever, but you don't want to like be vacuuming hair every day. So you get a golden doodle, and it's not the same dog, but it's similar enough. And now everyone and their mom has a golden doodle.
And half of them are crazy.
It is true. Yeah. It was a concept that got, kind of destroyed. But anyway, but like, I guess, I don't know. For me, if enough line breeding can fucking
Calvin.
I thought he was gone.
I thought he was gone a long time ago. Good God.
Anyway, but like I feel like if enough line breeding is done within scrubs before like a morph craze, so to speak, could even start, that like for instance, I don't know, it's kind of dark, but like that Barneck behind me, super high patterned, like very clean, kind of like an anery-ish base color, you're not improving that snake by hybridizing it. It's not going to happen. There's not a possibility there, because that appearance isn't better in another scrub python. Where like with a Malucan, a super high gold Malucan, you can't cross anything into that to make that gold better. It's just, that's the best one. So if we can all show that, like, you're not making these better by muddying the waters, the way that a jungle jag took the best aspect of a jaguar, the pattern, and the best aspect of the jungle, being the color and the contrast, came together to form a pretty cool looking snake, especially ones that were, line bred well.
I mean, in the same concept, I mean, I can, but in this, like the same argument, I can see somebody going, oh, I've got this really thick banded black barneck and this really golden Malucan. Well, what if I mix it together? Not that it doesn't already exist, and get a golden banded black snake. So like, I can see somebody also doing that as well.
Sure. And I have seen that it has been done. I've seen a video of one before. Frankly, because I always had that same thought. I'm like, I don't think I want to do crosses, but man, what would that look like? What would a Malucan to a barneck look like? Frankly, it looked like a muddy Malucan.
Oh, wonderful.
I was really relieved when I saw that. I was like, oh, this looks worse than a Malucan, and it doesn't really look that barnecky. Cool. Like, no one needs to try this now because it's been done and it didn't look that good. Will it happen? Sure. But
it's not going to happen by me, Calvin.
Yeah,
I mean, will not be doing that.
I think don't talk about scrub breeding until you get a clutch on the ground, Calvin. I mean, shoot, selling a proven female is not the best way to be breeding scrub pythons, but hey,
I mean,
those are your snakes, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Shots fired, Calvin.
Hey, you know what? He dished it, so he can, he's got to take it as well.
You better be careful. He's going to start saying that you have gray hairs and Calvin's barely old enough to get into a bar.
I mean, you could probably find a couple, but the fact that I don't have more actually compared, considering some of the shit I've been through in my life, I think I'm doing all right. So, anyways, before we go even more off the rails, we're we're near the point of wrapping it up around here, but I would be remiss if I didn't touch on a few animals that I used to keep this species. I kind of had to move on from them just to kind of preserve some of my most important projects, but I've always said that these are I could probably count on one hand the species of snakes or reptiles that I have kept, gotten rid of, and want to keep again. This is probably number one, the Basins. So
you're very nice.
I mean, you can't beat them. They're so incredible. So how many Basins do you have?
4.5.
So 4 and a hybrid?
4 and a hybrid.
Cool. And I guess let's just kind of quickly go, not quickly, but it's as much as it takes to go through the 4. Do you have them all 4 on the Instagram?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So you'll have to give me some help.
So that's one. That's my female. That's Franny. She it was a friend of Ryan Young who produced that one. So that snake's mean.
Okay.
That one's mean. That will light you on fire.
So does she come from a particular lineage, or just kind of it was a
not that I'm aware of. She was US produced, but I'm not super familiar with her lineage. No.
Okay. Well, those diamonds are super strong on the back, so definitely would lend well for like a diamond project. Let's see.
I think you have to go
down. Okay. Down. Because I don't want to run. Okay, that's not the same snake.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so what about this one?
That's cocaine.
Type shit.
So that came from Ed. That's one of the snowflake
Okay.
animals he has. That's a male. That's the youngest one in the house.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That
And I actually need to get a better picture of him because he's gained a lot more white since then. And it has a lot more of a white dusting.
So is that blue undertone true, or is this just like colors playing mind
No,
tricks
it's
on
true.
you?
It's true. The undertone of him is he's got a very blue into him.
Gosh, that's incredible. See, this is why I need basins again in my life at some point. I just gush over these damn snakes.
I really enjoy it. My favorite is the oldest basin that I have, which is him right there. For good reason.
Yeah. The melanistic look is just so. Is this from like the Draco lineage?
It shares lineages with
I got
Draco.
it right. Let's go.
Yeah, he shares lineages, I believe, from the same sire, but not the same dam, from my understanding.
Got it.
But he didn't have. I mean, he has gained significant more black.
Okay.
Here recently.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I last week at Socrates' place saw his, like, I think he said, oh, I can't remember, but you know, some like a generation or two under Draco and like a bit older than this individual, and that animal was like 50% black.
Yeah.
Just gosh, what? But then like high contrast on the white. Man, it's so hard to beat that look.
And that's a hybrid.
Yep. Very nice. What's your plan with it? Is it to make 75% basins, or do you want to cross that back into northern?
No, the plan is to do 75% basins. I did technically buy that animal as a female, unfortunately, and it is not. I mean, it sheds some really big plugs. So I was like, yeah, you're not. I had actually just shed the other day, and I was like, golly, those plugs. So, and that's not actually the best picture of him because he's actually got a lot of yellow scales kind of along his spine. There's a picture of him. I think that's actually a video.
Oh, all right. Well, but that shows it very well.
Can you see the video? Because I can't see the video.
You can't see the video? Oh, shoot. I can see it on this.
I have a better picture of him.
No, I can see it on my page over here. But.
Yeah, I've got a better picture of him. If you keep going down, you'll eventually get to it. There you go. There's one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That definitely.
Yeah. And so if you scroll over, there's a couple more pictures in that series, but you can see the like very yellow scales. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
The dark, there's not as much dark. So it seems like he's kind of growing out of the dark around the white.
Okay. Interesting. Because doesn't that usually kind of increase with age, the dark?
I thought so, but even sitting here looking at him in his cage right now, it's not as dark as it was in that picture.
Huh. Interesting. That could be a kind of an idiosyncrasy of the crosses. Cool.
Could be.
All right. So now where's the missing basin?
That's a good question. That's not him. That's cocaine.
Okay.
I don't get that one out a lot because I have been in that's the picture of his eye right there, but that doesn't. Oh, he's in that picture in the pink perch.
Okay.
Yeah, so in that one right there, he's in that one. He's definitely a little bit darker too.
Yeah.
But that's I hate to call him my problem child, but he is kind of my problem child. He much prefers live. So I've had him going on about a year now, and I'm still kind of trying to get him over not to live. So I don't mess with him a ton.
Okay. But yeah, that stripe is super clean. That really is.
Yeah, it's got and that was High Gwen. I might butcher his last name, and I feel bad, but yeah, he produced him.
Very nice.
But I like the basins, and then I have one northern, and she's a treat.
Is she on here?
Yeah, there's a picture of
Oh,
her.
here we go.
It's not that one. It's not actually that
Oh,
one.
this is a different northern?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, do I need to go down?
Probably down. Like I said, I definitely take more pictures of the chondros because obviously that's really what I do more of.
Yeah.
So I definitely probably should take more pictures of the northerns.
Here's a scrub.
That's a video. That video shows.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, Malucans are. It's hard to beat the Malucans.
Oh, I know. I really like them.
Oh, God.
They're very fun.
Wow.
You see how white my fingers are trying to hold on to him? I'm like holding on for dear life.
Oh man, yeah. No, they'll definitely give you a run for your money.
The picture of the northern, she'll be in a cage because I mean, that's her head, yeah, but I can't get her. She's on 4-foot perches.
Okay. She looks pretty damn big.
She's huge and she slightly scares me.
Okay.
But that's her right there. There's zero chance. I mean, that's 3/4 inch perches. That's not 1 inch perches. That's 3/4 inch. She's massive. She scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, she could care less about me. I have a giant pothos that's in there with her. And I can get in there, pick leaves off, prune it, do whatever I need to do, and she's not bothered by me.
Nice.
I could also I've never seen an animal take food so gently.
Huh.
She doesn't strike. She just
kind of
I know, and I joke that I could probably feed her by hand. I would never, ever do that. But I joke that I probably could.
Yeah. It's probably asking for some trouble, but you know.
I have seen, because like obviously when I got her, like she was really big still when I got her. And I nido tested hers. I don't know why people don't talk about nido in emeralds. It does exist. Yeah. But I saw those teeth, and I don't ever want to feel what those feel like, because her head is easily as big as my fist, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good call. Have you considered putting that 50-50 to her?
I have thought about it.
Like Marshall's always said that the 25%.
I saw that too. Yeah, I saw that too. And I've definitely thought about it, especially because the male, so that dark-headed male, I actually have that dark male in there with her right now. And he does nothing. Okay. Oddly enough, he'll sit next to her, and I've seen him lay his head on her.
Okay.
But that is it. That is it. And I was talking to Chris, and Chris said they kind of like do some ninja shit and kind of like sneak. You kind of like gotta get behind them, and because they're locked behind. But there's a negative chance. I put cameras on my snakes when they're paired together. I'm not going to miss a lock if I can help it. So I don't know. I mean, no, he's doing nothing. So, I mean, the lights are still on in here because I turned them on for this, but
yeah.
He's not, even though he's 5, he's really just not feeling it. I've thought about it because that 50-50 is definitely, like I said, he's shed massive plugs.
Yeah.
And he's definitely done some cruising here recently. I don't know. I've thought about it, but I'm also kind of at the point where I'm like, yeah, I've got them together this year, but like, if they don't go, I'm really not that upset about it because I've got a lot of chondro clutches planned. And it's the same kind of concept with the scrubs. Like, I'm going to put some together, but I'm not really necessarily jonesing for them to go. I'm just kind of seeing where it goes, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Well, I look forward to seeing what you end up doing with her, because she probably would have an absolutely massive litter. So
yeah, that's And like I said, I'm still kind of knee deep in listening to the podcasts and stuff. I listened to podcasts for what felt like forever before I paired the green trees up.
Yeah.
And I've only had the scrubs a year. I've only had,
Yeah.
these guys going on a little over a year. So I'm okay just kind of enjoying them for right now.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's definitely, something that I wish I had kind of done when I was, earlier on, but just like be patient with stuff, kind of enjoy the process of learning what you're doing before you kind of dive in head first. But yeah, I think more people should take that advice and,
You gotta walk before you can run.
Yeah, very much. So, in the past I've tried to fly before I can walk, so it didn't work that well. But I'm still here, so I survived the fall, I guess.
If you learn from it, I feel like then that's
Yeah,
it's
sure.
worth it. But if there's a lot of people that I think do that, I've seen a couple of people, especially here recently with the chondros, that are just I don't know why. Like, I don't know why anybody would ever want to just jump headfirst into chondros. Like, they go straight from, like, they get one and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm pairing my chondros up in the next like month. And I'm like,
Yeah.
sit down. You're doing too much. Sit down.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a surefire way for people to get discouraged and to quit before they even get started.
Oh, for sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and be like, well, God, I hate this because it's awful.
Right.
So I'm just kind of enjoying it, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited to see where it goes as well. We'll definitely need to do another follow-up episode at some point, especially after some babies hit the ground. But again,
I'm hopeful that it's very soon. I have the one in the upper corner right here literally could be, I mean, she's been in the nest box for over 24 hours now. So
cool.
I'm super hopeful that is very soon.
Nice.
Preferably before I go to Bill's.
Yes. Let's hope for that for sure.
My concern.
Yeah. Well, Carly, thank you again for taking the time tonight. It was great to finally have you on the show. Definitely an episode I've been wanting to do for a while. For anyone who wants to keep up with what you're doing, keep up with you for available animals, for your breeding, where can you be found? Where are the best places to find what you're doing?
Instagram is the best for sure. Any snake people, I just kind of send to my Instagram because I don't really have I don't post a lot of snake content, nor do I add a lot of snake people on like my personal Facebook because I post my family there.
Yeah.
So Instagram is the way to go. I think my Instagram's automatically connected to like a Facebook page, but I don't get on it as much. So all in all, it's pretty much just Instagram. I do have a Morph Market, but hardly anything ever gets posted on there. Just maybe one or two here and there.
Okay. And that is coastalmorelia on Instagram.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, for me, for everyone who might not know yet, Scrub Shepherd on Instagram. You can add me on Facebook, Stephen Kush. Kush Reptile on Morph Market is where I post some available animals. I post stuff on Instagram and Facebook as well. And then I'm on YouTube as well, Kush Reptile, where I post kind of vlog style videos. So that's for me. And Carly, once again, thank you so much for your time tonight. And thank you to everybody for tuning in and listening. And I will catch you all back here next week for a new episode. Good night, everyone.